Thank you all so much for joining. I'm Akishel, I'm no-founder CTO of Clarity. Very, very excited to have this panel session with Gordon, who's the Chief Accounting Officer at DoorDash. Needs no introduction at this point because he was nice enough to be part of not one, but two speaking sessions with us. And so I have a few questions prepared that I want to ask Gordon, and then would love to open it up to all of you. But I just want to start by saying, know Gordon for many, many years at this point, and he probably has the most feature ideas of anyone that I've spoken to. And it feels a lot more like I'm talking to a product leader or CTO whenever I have conversations with Gordon. So it's always very, very fun. So thank you, Gordon.
Well, it's just because that I have no support. You guys are my only support, like I always say.
We're Gordon's private engineering team.
Exactly.
We are. Well, maybe to start there, you've been into AI and technology way before generative AI, and we've been having these conversations, and you've been into AI, well, before Clarity even. Can you tell me about your philosophy with respect to technology? Where did you develop this belief system about using technology to run an accounting team?
Getting burned so many times. Like, I think everyone sit here been burned with the bad data. We all know that we are at the mercy of someone else to close our book. We all know that we're waiting for someone to do something for us before we can start closing our book. And just that being burned enough times, you realize when you have the opportunity, let's do it right. So we were very lucky because at Twitter, we have a lot of problem, and then at DoorDash we have even bigger problem. When we first went IPO, we had a material weakness in our revenue. That basically the board is like, you better fix it, or else it doesn't go well. So we, at that point on, we have a lot of kind of a leadership support to actually fix underlying data. We're now able to actually centralize all our data in the accounting team. We actually have control because we have our own BI team. And so now, 4 or 5 years ago, if you do not know how to write any SQL script or anything, you can't do anything with the data. Today, it's not true. You can actually just go into Snowflake, write a simple English, and you get some information that you want. And I think because we were able to get enough data structure in place early on in our journey before it becomes too big, now we are reaping the benefit of having an AI sat on top of our data is a lot more powerful. And we can extract information in a way more structured way and analyze them in a way more organized way.
Very interesting. So talking about projects like a Snowflake data layer, right? These are expensive. Yeah. They're very, very complicated to do. The ROI may take some amount of time, but as you said, if you don't get your data in order, it's very, very hard to build on top. How do you think about these kind of multi-year projects and investments? How do you identify the needs and then decide that you want to pull the trigger and move forward?
I think, again, there's a lot of fire being burned. Literally for about, we went public in about 2020. End of 2020. Basically, their mandate is reduce close, get your manual journal entry automated, get rid of Excel. Those are 3 mandates. And I'm sure everyone's trying to do the same thing. So to get through that, a lot of people ask, do you want to change your ERP from NetSuite to Oracle to solve that problem? Do you want to actually implement a bunch of RPAs? Those 2 are the most common thing 4 years back. And for me, it's like neither one actually work. Meaning, I actually don't use my ERP the way most traditional companies do. All of my data is scattered. Go tell my engineer re-implement everything into a new ERP system. Good luck. I couldn't even get them to do one thing, let alone integrate every single module, right? So that doesn't work. RPA. I say, okay, let's do RPA and try to automate. Great. 2 months later, I need another automation because has been updated. Guess what? It's cost ineffective at that point. That we are in a constant growth phase where we have not enough people to actually do all this automation for us. So I don't have enough budget to do it at some point. So why do we do all these things? It's because our underlying data structure is so garbage. You have to keep finding powerful front-end solution to extract, to modify the data. Had it been actually just downloaded and usable, no one's going to complain. If Oracle NetSuite can just download an Excel file and you can use it right away without pivoting 9 different ways, Who is going to want to use Excel? We are just forced to do it. We have no choice. And so the first thing we talk to the team is like, can we fix our data layer so that when you extract a report, it's actually usable data to begin with. Don't just keep spitting out data for people to then modify 5 different ways. Because in that modification process, you can get it wrong. Human is human. We are going to make mistakes. It's a matter of when. It's just how big or small. So it's just we are at every single close. I always tell my team, don't call me after 4 p.m. on Friday. Why? Because there's no good cause. If not an adjustment, it's just a control deficiency. Or the auditor's complaining the PBC doesn't work. I don't record a last call after 4 on Friday is actually a good call. And actually, the CFO has just like really make fun of us in front of the whole company. Say, if the IA, VP, and Gordon call you on Friday any day, you know you better sit down first. Because the only time we call the CFO, most likely during audit, is only one reason. Something went wrong. Right? I think we were forced to deal with a lot of problems. We were never equipped to be given opportunity. And I think this is why Clarity has been such a blessing in many ways, because we now have tools we never had before. People now able to do things they never had the visibility to. Everyone saw what they did earlier in the presentation. Literally, there's no understatement of this. In 19 days, we did upload 400 videos, and they converted 464. And we actually have a list of every single process that we actually have. And it shows like, hey, here's an Excel file of all your downloads. It's categorized for you. And then we now are mapping individually how much time it takes for every single step, where do they perform. If there are differences, they identify differences, why they're different. We all have all this information. We have too much information. For once in our lifetime, we actually have too much insight that we don't know where to start with. And now they're even able to say, oh, if you tell me exactly how long it takes for every single step, what is the price tag for that group of service provider to provide that, they can actually calculate the actual step cost compared to the automation that you're proposing. I've never seen it in my life. Like, I remember 2 years ago, my team tells me, Gordon, we saved 10,000 man hours. I'm like, no shit. Where's the saving? I literally was like, who is signing up on this? Well, I gone through it. Only 1,000 hours get signed off. I'm like, kidding me, 1/10? But you cannot hold people accountable properly. You have no data to hold them accountable. It's not that they're lying. It's just it's not clear how it's being shown. Now we have a tool that can help us to identify those gaps and identify those nuances we never thought of. This does not necessarily replace the use of BPO or in-source in low-cost solution. Let me be clear. That's not the intention here. It's not to replace job by any measure. It's just find efficiency in the existing process that you have. And everyone sitting here, I'm pretty sure you don't want to do processing. We all had done processing in our life, and we all try to get away from it. So why aren't we trying to push all of them away as quickly as we possibly can? Because you don't have people to support you, because you don't have resources, because you don't know how to do that. Now we can tell you exactly how. The system will tell you, here are the steps that you take. And every step, all it takes is you literally go through the report and say, this step by whom? Why is it done by someone? Immediately, people recognize, I don't need to do it. Someone else should be doing it for me. And I think that is the power of the information that we have in a way that's usable. That is never seen before. I think that's the power in the next 2-3 years will be tremendously useful.
And so building on that, if we think 2-3 years down the line, right, you have all of your process data in Architect or a different product like that, and you essentially have this enterprise brain that can answer questions for you. What is your vision for how you see that being used across your org? Do you see it as being able to make decisions top down that people are then, that are able to follow? Or what is your vision for how a team at a top accounting team would leverage a decision-making tool like that?
I think 2 years sounds like a long time, but actually it's not a long time in changing people's mentality. Like I start trying to get my team on Alteryx when I first started 6 years ago, and I wasn't successful to get everyone on board until 2 years ago. It took me 4 years. And the team was very small back then. Now my team is a lot bigger. For me to introduce a new technology, for everyone to fully adopt, we have a group of change agents to help us. But it's going to take some time for everyone to recognize the usefulness to their own process and to the team. And they will eventually get to there, and which is why on an annual basis, we host a full day of training, put everyone together and say, learn all this technology and use it. And we are forcing that, but I think it will take a couple of years for people to fully learn and comprehend the usefulness of the tools in helping them, and also acknowledging the fact that I'm not losing the job. Because behind the back of every conversation is, at the junior level, am I going to lose my job? Is my job being taken away? But what is my job in the future? Like without AI in the old world, we all have a very clear, visible kind of growth trajectory in our career. You know, okay, I'm going to be here now, manager, senior manager. You know exactly what you do in every single grade. Tomorrow, it doesn't exist. And honestly, I cannot even tell you what it will be, because you will be spending so much time doing system implementation. Like truly, like most of my team members now spend majority of their time doing system implementation, in addition to closing the book. Because if you don't spend time fixing the system, you will always be busy with your daily work that you actually don't like. How does it work? So you don't like your job, but you don't want to give it away, and you are now frustrated about your future. Like, it doesn't work. So it has to start somewhere. But is everyone going to say yes on day one? No. It's just reality. So if you have enough change agent in your organization, they will actually accelerate that process. And I think that acceleration is because now they share people whom have seen changes in these people. Like in our organization, some of them were from accounting to non-accounting role to do system implementation. They go from non-accounting to BI development because people learn how to write script. The person actually, Joanna Smoska, my BI director, she was an accountant. She never knew how to write script before. She spent her last 4 years learning how to write script and run the team. It's doable. Are you willing to take on a new computer language from scratch? That's a lot of determination. That's a lot of willingness to change and accept the fact that I'm going to give away everything I learn, and I'm going to leverage the information I have, but to do something completely new. Not too many people have that kind of determination, but the people who do will be rewarded. So the question to you is, are you one of them? Opportunities are generally available, but actually not too many people willing to take that opportunity. That's the funny fact. Like in my team, I would say we have a lot more automation project, but I also have a lot more complaints saying that I don't have resources, and they're not picking up and doing it themselves. Some of them do, and many of them do. Those are change agents. But those who don't, there's nothing you can do. That takes time. They need to realize that, and some people take longer than the other. And I think as part of growing process, I think being in a big organization today, I think there's a benefit for we have enough space to allow that growth happen. If you're in a startup and limited resources, if you don't grow fast enough, you will be replaced very easily, because the organization required to grow so in the kind of the 10x, 100x in 2-3 years. You have no choice, but you have to grow. But we are now at 25% growth as opposed to when we used to be 300% growth. The requirement of the person in the role is very different. So I think different organization is different. Your growth is really controlled by yourself, because I believe every single organization wants you to grow. They want you to go learn new things. That's why you have so many people sitting here, because they want you to go find out what is the new next thing that can help your process. So all of those things predicated on, if they believe the opportunity is real, they will do it. And I think that is something we have to keep reminding the team the opportunity is real. As a leader, our job is to create that opportunity as much as empower them to do the way they want to be, as well as give them the tools to do it. Once you give them all of those, they will do way more than you ask for. And I don't even ask for it anymore. Actually, I tell them, do not bring them to me, because I have too many already.
This actually is very true. And talking to Gordon's team, they are always pushing us super hard and very bought into kind of the value of AI. I want to dig into this a little bit more, right? Because from an employee perspective, adopting technology like AI, when you're already being crushed by work, sometimes these implementations go on forever. Sometimes if you stick your neck out and something doesn't work, that puts you in a very tough spot. And this for accounting teams. The margin for error is incredibly thin. How do you create guardrails? How do you create an environment where people can try things and perhaps even fail in a way that's not penalized, and in a way that also doesn't hurt DoorDash and the accounting function?
A lot of risk to take. Like a lot of times, like when you try something, you really don't know it's going to work or not. And the guardrail is a lot of my team members work very long hours. At the onset, when the people can IPO and all the stuff, we work incredible amount of hours to get it to be a stabilized state. Once you get to that, and then you can create a scale by creating BPO, in-source team, and all that stuff, then the life will be tremendously different. Like when I start at DoorDash 6 years ago, we have a team of what, 9 people? Today we have 450. So we actually start moving out to India, start moving out only 2.5 years ago. Prior to that, we didn't even have time. You're right, we're just like Barry, every day, just close the book. Can you get it right? Are we missing the deadline? Like we are chasing all of those things every day. No one has time. But once we actually start building our offshore team, start building our in-source team in Mexico, in India, in Hungary, all of a sudden, people actually now have time to do process transformation. Now, it takes their responsibility to actually make it work for the team. That's a transition period. It takes time. And accepting that time is not on our side. And in those 2 years, I would say the team worked extremely hard. Now, at the same time, people who work extremely hard get rewarded for the roles they never have. An example I said before, Joanna had no BI background, is the head of my BI. We are willing to give people opportunity as long as you show you're capable, regardless of your credential. At the same time, if people who are not willing to do all these things, they will be self-selected anyway. Because they see the growth, they cannot survive anyway. And the people who survive are the people almost always are the one constantly changing their own process, constantly asking for changes, constantly asking for resources to support them in the right way. Because they see how when people notice how you can get resources, everyone's going to follow. That person can get 2 more headcounts just because they do that. Everyone's, let me try to do that and see if I can get 2 headcounts too. Who doesn't do that? Everyone does. The question is, how many people are willing to even do that? And I'll tell you, actually, there's more resources available than people ask at times. I always tell the team, hey, you guys are not asking for enough, but have you shown me what you use the resource for? If you can justify that, the resources is available, especially for all the Silicon Valley growing company. I don't think CFO ever say no. He just say no because he doesn't know what you use it for. Once you tell them, hey, I use it for this, and this will help scale the organization, almost no CFO ever say no to it. So I think it's at times we are not very good at presenting our use case in explaining to the CFO, understanding the actual dynamic of the problem to actually get the resources we're looking for. Once we have that trust built, once you have that kind of a belief in the organization to scale quickly, the resources is unlimited. Like I said, we start with 9 people. Today we have a 450 people team.
Super helpful. I want to pivot to talking about your strategy with respect to new AI products. There's certainly this broader trend, and I'm sure many of you have seen this, where a lot of folks are getting stuck in POCs and not seeing the ROI that they want from AI tools for a whole host of reasons. It could be implementation. It could be that AI can't handle the long tail, and so it does really well in a demo, but then it doesn't scale beyond that. You've been able to launch a whole bunch of use cases into production, pre-generative AI, post-generative AI, I'm sure there's many more tools that you're looking at. How do you evaluate these such that you're able to have such high confidence that it'll actually give you ROI, and it does end up giving you ROI?
So I think there's a lot of. I spent a lot of time talking to founders. I actually initially I spent hours with you guys just to know that these are the group of people I want to be with. When I learned is that if you're with a group of people that you want to be with, they will be there to support you. I pick up a call, I call you, I call Andrew. Like within a couple of days, the product got updated. Literally, not figuratively. And that has been the case for the past 3 years, not just because of this launch, right? Literally. And
My engineering team hates me for this.
well, that's why I don't show up to the office often. like I think once you find the right partner with you, they are my partners in crime. Everything I know is is only one phone call away to get to that solution. It's not so difficult all of a sudden. And now, of course, we try many. For example, OCR alone, we have 4 different POC going on. We try every different thing. We want to see which one works. And the team is like, Gordon, shit, another POC? On OCR again? I'm like, you don't know which one will work. How do I know? And the second thing is that every single tool, we have a general rule is there must be a backstop. Meaning that tool 1 doesn't work, tool number 2 must step up right away. So we always have fail-safe. I don't have an option not to. So every time I have 2 options to implement. And honestly, it's been very lucky that we only work with very small company, by the way. I don't work with any big company. Any established public company, I don't work with. Very clear, let's be clear. Because they do not change for me. Right? When was the last time you go to the big company and say, hey, can you change this for me? It's like, well, let me see when is the next time I change my roadmap. Right? This is only one phone call away. Dude, I don't need to choose. Right? So I think I'm really into picking a lot of small companies to work with us. And all these founders literally are one phone call away from my request. So it doesn't take long to fix all my problems when I have multiple teams of engineers floating everywhere to do it for me. This is fundamentally, we now finally, for the longest time, I think accounting and finance, we don't have a lot of opportunity to use this technology because no one built it for us. Because there's not enough money. We're cheapskates. We don't have money in our budget. So guess what? You cannot afford the brightest to do the work for us. But now, finally, the AI really turned the dial. I tell my boss, do you want me to spend $15-20 million to replace NetSuite to Oracle? Or use that $15-20 million to do AI? It's no brainer. Of course, go try the AI. Because you also know, not only you need to spend $10-15 million with the implementation of the ERP, you also need to convince the whole engineering op to do it for you, which is way more difficult. Writing the 50 million check is not difficult at that point. So that's the fundamental thing. What I learned is that big company has their own benefit. Don't get me wrong. They're great in many ways. But their use case at times is too limited for my try. And I'd much rather to go with private company whom they have flexibility to build based on my spec. And I'm lucky enough to have a team who can give pretty good spec. We know exactly what we want. We are able to tell you what exactly we want you to build. And we have a very clean commitment together. And you guys work better than my IT team. I don't know how many times I have to say that. My IT team is going to hate me. But at the same time, my IT team also actually like the fact that we are using you guys differently because they are not the one who have to do the work for us anymore. For all the product, actually, I had a very good relationship with my CISO. Every product I go, I pick out the phone and call him and say, hey, I'm going to use this thing. This is kind of quasi-AI tool. This is an ML tool. We talk through it before we start the process so that they will subscribe to us. It's not like, oh, just another request from accounting team. They look at it like, shit, what do you guys do? That's hard, right? Because everyone's submitting the request is hard to service everyone too. Just like us, like bazillion people coming to the AP request, oh, why is the AP not paid? They have the same problem like we do. So if you actually set up a pre-planning cadence with them, like every single week and month, we actually bring to them, these are all the projects we plan to do. These are all the things we plan to test. Do you want to actually look at it? If you do, we'll bring the engineer to talk to you about it. We just walk away from the room at that point. Like, you guys talk about whatever security needs you need. And all the founders are generally very good at explaining those problems to our CISOs team. And so fundamentally, it's not like we're taking anything away from them. We're actually helping them to do their job in a way more efficient manner. And we're being more respectful of their time. As opposed to when shit happened, I didn't get approval from the security team. Right? That's happened too. But it's not true at times. It's a two-way street. So I think the more we spend time bringing on our team in the process, and when they hear, oh, you're going to bring on another AI too, everyone wants to be part of it. Who doesn't want to be part of it? The problem is you bring it on, and then you tell them, eat it. And then like, shit. But if you're actually part of the initial planning process, almost always everyone say yes. I never get a no from them, ever. Now, takes time. It doesn't mean the fact that the queue takes long. Sometimes an AI tool, it takes 3 months to get evaluated. Just because we're an accounting team at the end, engineering team has a lot of AI tools too. They are going to take the priority over ours. So that's okay. But at least you know you're in the queue. You know what is the mechanism to do it. So because of all of those collaboration with our cross team, they are actually the one helping us closing out issues. Like, you talk to my security team so many times. After your call, it goes away, the problem. But we can never explain that properly. Right? Now, of course, it's not easy for you. But again, at least I have a CTO to explain. If I go to another big public company, the CTO is not going to pick up the call.
I'll be giving up my number after if anyone else wants it. We don't have a lot of time left. I have many more questions to ask you, but I want to open it up to all of you. Please, go ahead.
My name is Veera from Rubrik IT team, and you don't like IT team, looks like clearly. That's part of it. But anyway, the question is, how do you motivate or how do you segregate your team doing actual closes every month and every quarter versus giving opportunity for them to think about automation, right? So it's like, do you split the time, like 80 you work on, this one 20 think about it, or is a whole different team thinking about automation?
So we do it slightly differently. We don't have a transformation team. I want every one of my business owner, my controller, my assistant controller, all my directors, they need to own all of the transformation. Like I mentioned before, if you don't know what you're buying, you cannot be buying it right. If you don't know technology and you're buying technology, that's not going to be a good outcome. So what I'm forcing people to do is that you need to go learn. Learn the technology. Learn what it can do to you. As you learn, in order for you to have time to learn, the first thing is create the outsourced solution. Put away all the time that you need to spend on monitoring the transaction, reviewing the transaction, doing the regular close the book. Again, now I have the scale to say that to do that. 4 years ago, I was the one doing that too. So it's different phrase in the company has a different needs. And in the process, the people who will be able to step up to actually own all of those, I think it's lack of training, but it's not lack of experience. My change agent, for the past 4 years, most of them have zero IT experience. They write their own automation tools. I'm not kidding. The question is that, do you have that opportunity for them to do that? Do you create space for them to do that? And in creating space, do they feel comfortable that the space they get in doing that will be rewarded? Once you can satisfy those criteria, I think most likely people will want to make space to learn. as opposed to, let me go finish my processing. No one wants that, honestly. And I think nowadays, offshore is very affordable. With Clarity too, I will tell you, it will make offshore 10 times easier. Like in the past, you ask the team, let's put together a list of things and move it to offshore. It was such a pain. And the complaint would be, well, the instruction you give is not clear. The other side is like, well, you didn't do what I say. And you sit there and negotiate SLA and say, well, you missed this SLA, I'm going to hold your payment. Every month, you spend at least 2 days doing that exercise. I hated that. And that's why I say, you know what? For certain ways, I don't want to deal with that. But what I learned is that once I give that authority to the owner of the accounting manager, director, now you own that team. They are your people. They perform poorly, it's still on you. All of a sudden, it's not, I did not communicate poorly. All of a sudden, it's not, they did not do a good job. Because they do a good job is a poor reflection on you. I think it's an incentive structure. When in the old world, 4 or 5 years ago, you hire all this company to do it for you. It's very easy. Hey, here's my process. Go do it yourself. And when it doesn't work, you complain. But honestly, did we ask ourselves, is what we give is right? Is an incentive structure created is right to enable that to be right? Were they incentivized to do the right thing? If they are paid by quantity and time spent, what is the incentive for them to do it fast and nice? There's no incentive. It's a disincentive. So I think that's a fundamental issue, is that we have to create the right incentive structure. Put the right people in doing the right responsibility. Once you narrow those two, and people feel that they're being empowered and given opportunity to grow, they will do it themselves. They will constantly ask me, can I have more people in India? Like, because they know that you will be given when you ask. The only reason why they were not given in the past is because you don't know if they do it right. Like even I used to have IBM with Twitter. We sit there, oh, why do you need 15 people? Is this 15 people or what is the utilization? You get sit and analyze the math. And well, once you drop below 75%, oh, they're sitting on the bench waiting for you to give new things. Like all those conversation is so useless because they have no incentive to do it right for you. And you cannot judge it. You don't have mechanism to actually quantify the impact besides the unit, the dollar, and the output. When it comes to accounting, at times, what is a good reconciliation? Depends to whom you talk to. There's no real, like, I don't know, there's no standard reconciliation, even within my accounting team. Is it all wrong? No, it's not. It's fine the way it is. It's just because they're different doesn't mean they're wrong. But the important fact is you need to make sure the person who owns it is the person who actually truly owns it. They have no way to say, it's not my problem. And I think once we get that responsibility clear, allocation of time is not an issue. It will be self-regulated.
I think we have time for only one more, unfortunately. I saw your hand go up first.
Thank you. Hi, Gordon. My name is Lydia. I work for ChargeBee, Chief Accounting Officer. Actually, right before I got here, my sales team tells me that you guys are about to become one of our customers. Now, hearing you talk, I explained why, because we're small, we're flexible, and our founders are actually waiting for your call to make changes for you. So it was really great. Having worked for a software company when I first started ChargeBee, and they told me, you have access to 400 developers for accounting softwares. Imagine big. And I said, okay, I want an accounting OS. I want something for accounting, for the accounting profession that transforms the profession as if iPhone transformed the phone age. Not very long into the journey, I realized that was too big of a dream. So now coming back to, having point solutions such as Clarity, such as many other tools, our own payment gateway AI tools and many other tools. So my question is for you, have you also given up on, a tool end to end transforming the entire accounting profession? If not, if yes or if not, my follow-up question for you is, in your team, what are the tools that have made the biggest difference? Because we're still in this point solution world. There's thousands of tools out there. I look at the landscape. I struggle in terms of, my team struggles in terms of where to start first, which tool to adopt first, and so on and so forth. Thank you.
I don't believe in one single solution. It doesn't exist. Because always someone's going to complain about the tool doesn't do something. So you will sit there pleasing A, and you get complaining B. And the complaint B will be the louder one because the A who got what they want would never even say thank you. So you only hear one thing, is complaints. So I believe that there is no solution can ever be perfect. If that is true, let all of them get whatever they want. It's a crazy theory for my IT team that I allow so many things. But at the same time, I'm simply saying that if one tool cannot do it all, and you're trying to make the other two just to do what the other one wants, the other one is not going to do it. It's just simple as that. And then guess what? You are the one who's stuck with all the tickets. And your team will be like, yes, the same ticket. Why wear the same ticket? Well, because system doesn't do this. And then becomes, this is a system limitation. And then what are people going to say? Oh, your system sucks. Right? There's no way out. I would say let them have what they want. But it's how do you stitch the system together is matter. Now how you change your process that matter. If you change your process to actually fit all these two together, it's very dynamic for you to figure it out. And you can customize it in a way that fits you. And Clarity, to me, exactly, is one of the customization too, in some way, because they tell me every single step what I do. They tell me exactly what tool I use. They tell me who actually runs the report, who does what, individually. Now I can actually stitch things together much easier. The reason why I cannot stitch them easily in the past is that integration is such a pain. Do I want every layer integrate? No. But how do you automate if you don't integrate? Well, nowadays there are many tools. Like there's a lot of new tools out there that actually can enable that. And honestly, we are trying bazillion tools. We don't know which one's going to ultimately work, but if it doesn't, what's to lose? If you don't try, so exactly. And here's another thing, mathematically, today if your cost is a certain ratio, in order for you to reduce your cost, you have only two ways. One is reduce people. One is move to a low-cost solution. But if you actually can onboard AI as AI costs come down, you get benefit without actually doing anything. You sit there, literally, can see a drop in processing by 20, 30%. Same technology, it's just because the LLM is getting cheaper. Like the LLM, when we first started like 3 years ago, versus now, it's like what, 1/10 of the cost? And where can you find any solution of process improvement to reduce 90% of your cost without doing anything? It doesn't exist. Technology is the only solution. So you have to try. And sometimes you fail. We have plenty of failed projects, don't get me wrong. My team always complain, Gordon, shit, there's another one, I don't know if it's gonna work. Just try it, man. Let's bite the bullet. Sometimes we're lucky. Like if we didn't try, we don't know Clarity will work. And it turns out to be one of the best solutions. And the first one, they were the first one that we implemented in our system. My entire revenue process, we have been three plus years. My technical revenue accounting team was 4 people then, it's 4 people now. In 3 years, we double our revenue. So it's not a small scale change with technology if you get it right. But in the process, the product initially does not work exactly we want either. So, but you need a partner who is willing to change for you constantly. And that's what matters. When you found a partner who's willing to change with you, and then you'll be able to embark on your own journey in the way you wish to be. And I think that's the only way to be successful in the long run, because we all need help. And you need people who are willing to help you, is capable of helping you. And that combination is hard to come by. So thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Gordon. On that note, thank you all so much for taking time to join us today.